here we are again at one of my favorite places in the world, my closet. Today is closet switchover day. And that's where I take my closet and I move it from a closet that's optimized for my winter wardrobe and we transfer it over to a spring summer wardrobe. I'm so excited. I much prefer my spring summer wardrobe. When I don't have to worry about freezing to death, it really frees up my creativity and my love for getting dressed. I may be jumping the gun slightly, but only by a few weeks. I think I'm only like a few weeks off of real spring, but you know what? I really don't care. I'm too excited. We're getting those heavy sweaters. We're getting them out of here. We're gonna switch them in for flimsy little tank tops and dresses. So I also wanted to use this as an opportunity to reorganize my closet a little bit and make some much needed upgrades. So I purchased cubes. There are 3 of these guys that I built. I just really wanted to fully maximize my space in my closet. There's a lot of dead space and I'll show you when we get in there. So we're gonna do a little bit of reorganizing, a little bit of some minor upgrades in the closet. And I also wanted to share my tips on how to properly store garments. I actually have my master's degree in fashion and textile studies. And so this is an area of interest for me, but also an area where I can definitely help impart my knowledge and help you guys take care of your clothes so you can get the most maximum use and longevity out of the things that you own. And I say, let's get to work. I think we're gonna start by just emptying all of the shelving. So please forgive any weird angles or weird lighting. It is a super different experience trying to film in my closet. So please bear with me while I try to figure this out. So over here we've got a few baskets that I've placed on top of this wire rack shelving. Below it I've got my shoes, and then above it I've got just sort of like backstock things, hats, shoe boxes, things that I don't really use that much, but that need a place to be stored regardless. And this is how I've had the closet functioning since we moved in here like 2 years ago. So I've got like different baskets that, you know, this one comes out a little bit too far. They weren't made to work in this closet together. They're just what I had and suited my organizational system. However, there is a ton of unused vertical space here. And that's something that I really want to optimize. I think that it's a lot of wasted space. And rather than like completely gutting this closet and removing the wire racking and like installing a bunch of stuff, I'm just trying to make some small upgrades that might make it a little bit more functional for me right now. So these baskets all hold like my knits, my tees, my tanks, my underlayers, and then I've got this basket over here that's not quite in frame. This one has all of like my hats, my gloves, my arm warmers, things like that. Not all of mine, but most of them in here. And then here I've got my glasses organizer that is mounted on the wall. I'm open to removing the glasses organizer, but for now, I don't really think I need to do that. Okay. All right, I'm on a stool right now to get up here at this height with you. I've got like, and that's what I mean, I've got some great vertical space in this closet and it really just needs to be optimized. I think that I can fit a lot more stuff in here than I currently do. So up here, I've got like, these are my folded pants, skirts, things like that. We've got really chunky knits up here. Oh, my hat is in the frame too. This is hanging on the wall here. And then we've got I keep this basket up here. This is filled with like other soft knit things and like my pleated things and stuff like that. So I want to try a few different things out to try to maximize the use of this space. And to start, we're going to have to remove all this stuff from the shelves. So let's do that. So I really don't have enough hanging clothes to warrant changing that part of my closet out every season. So I always sort of leave my hanging clothes hanging. So I've had these like summer tops hanging here all winter, just because most of my winter clothes are knits and those get folded. So this is where all of those baskets just were that I removed. I actually want to try hanging clothes up here on this top rack. Oh wait, actually, it's not meant for hanging clothes. Okay. That's something I just noticed. That makes sense why I didn't hang clothes up here, because it doesn't have a rail on it. There is a rail on this lower one. I don't really see the point in utilizing this rail because my shoes can't go under this rail because it's got all like my long dresses and long pants and skirts and things. Realistically, my shoes can only really fit underneath this one. So I think it's time to just put some of these boxes in. I really want to test them out on the other side of the closet though, because I think they might come in handy. So the pack that I ordered just came with 3 of these boxes. I do think that if they work out well for me, at least, I'm going to be ordering at least 1, if not 2 more orders of these. I wanted to test it out to see if it would work how I imagined it would in my mind. And I think that my approach to things like this closet project of like reorganization or like revamping is similar to the ways that I approach growing my wardrobe. And that would be just like making slow changes over time. So rather than doing like a big before and after of my closet, I'm gonna install these 3 cubes. We're gonna see how it goes. If I like it, we're gonna keep going with it. So this is how I imagine I'm going to be actually using the cubes. Once I finally do my storage. I actually do have room for like a third one here. So that can go 3 tall, and there's still like a little bit of a gap here. And it gives me extra storage on top of these guys as well. So it's expanding the surface area. At least for now, I like it like this. I think I might, if I get another stack of these, I'd put 1 more on top of here, 1 on top of here, and then maybe a third down here or something like that. So let's try it out on the other side though. Okay, so I really wanted to see how these would work up here as well. And it looks like it would work almost perfectly if I got an order of 3 of these just for this row, because then it like doubles the surface area. I can store things under here and up here. I believe when I showed you my, oh, it looks like it's falling out of the wall. Interesting. So before, when I showed you this shelf, the sweaters really could only feasibly stack to like right here before it became too unwieldy of a stack. If I were to put like these shelves up here, it completely doubles the size of this space. And I think that that's exactly what I need, because I find that I have a lot more folded things, or at least I store a lot more things folded. So I find myself needing more of that sort of storage than I do hanging storage. So I'm gonna take these down. I'm gonna put them back on the shelf that I originally intended for them to get used on. But I really do think I'm gonna get another set of them for this area right here. So this is how I store my spring summer clothes. I put them in a plastic airtight container. I like this clear plastic because that way you can like actually see if anything's going on, like God forbid, like a clothes moth situation or like some sort of pest situation. You can see through the plastic to see just like right off the bat if anything weird's going on. And this is what I'm going to store my winter clothes in once I unpack all of these summer clothes. Hi, Daisy. I will also utilize like a drawer within my dresser to store a few more sweaters if they don't fit in this container. But yeah, I think that this is a good way to store clothes. I think if something needs to be hanging, you can zip it up in a garment bag and store it somewhere separate. You can like store it in a separate closet or somewhere away from your main wardrobe, because especially if you're working with like tight spaces, it can be hard to see what you've actually got if things are just so overcrowded. So let's get to unpacking this bad boy. Ugh. Okay, so first I'm gonna remove all of my like winter stuff. I've got my underlayer, long sleeve shirts, got some tank tops in here, those will stay. Turtlenecks, those are going. Oh, that's a t-shirt that I have been looking for. Let's see, I've got t-shirts, those are staying. Another sweater, thick sweater, thick sweater, thick poncho, thick sweater, more thick sweaters. These are all going. This whole basket is getting emptied and put into storage. This is what I usually keep my swimwear in the summer. This is a basket of like all of my pleated things and my very fragile knits and things like that. The only thing that I've got in here that isn't on the right season is this like long sleeve dress. But honestly, I can still wear it for a little bit. It doesn't take up that much space, so I'm just gonna put it back in here. So another tip that I wanted to give you about storing pleats. So pleated items are like very unique in the way that you need to store them. You really shouldn't be hanging them up and storing them on a hanger because they can create like, you can get marks in the shoulders and things like that. I personally love my collection of pleated things and I really want to take care of them because there's nothing worse than like a pleat that has a weird like ridge in it or a weird fold in it. So while you don't want to hang a pleat up, you also don't want to fold them. So I'm going to show you what you want to do instead. So this is a Vivian Tam oversized pleated button-up shirt. And this is one of my favorite pieces. So I want to store it correctly, right? So rather than folding it, what we're going to do is I'm going to hold it by the collar and I'm just going to let the pleat kind of hang naturally here. And then I'm gonna take my hand and I'm gonna grab the collar and I'm gonna sort of twist the garment in one direction. And then I'm going to, once the garment is a little twisted, I twist it on itself. So I'll show you that again. Twist the garment. And then once the whole thing becomes twisted, then you can sort of twist it on itself for storage. And that's what that looks like here. So it's like a little nest of pleats. And that does keep it from becoming like harshly creased. Also, don't put anything on top of your pleats. If you're gonna put them in a basket like me, put the folded heavy knit things on the bottom and place the pleats on the top. And here with this Issey Miyake skirt, you're gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna grab the top. The pleats are hanging really nicely. And then I'm going to just grab it and twist it and then sort of wrap it around itself. And there you have it, a nice little nest of pleats again. And I'm gonna place that on top of the basket. While it isn't the most space efficient method of storing things, this is really how you want to store your pleated things, especially if some of them are like investment pieces for you, or if you just really love them and you wanna take good care of them. That's how you do that. And there they are, my nest of pleats. Okay, so it's finally time to bust into this bad boy. I love busting into my off-season clothing because it is a little bit like going shopping within my own wardrobe. And, you know, I sometimes I forget what I have. So it's always fun to see it again at the beginning of a new season. The way that I organize things is, I guess I've got like fragile knits. Those go into a separate storage container, the one with the pleats. That's where that's gonna go. And then I've got my shorts. I'm gonna create, these are 2 pairs of shorts. I'm gonna make a shorts pile. I have to figure out how I want to organize my stuff now that I have these new containers. So I'm not really sure what I wanna do. So I'm gonna figure it out on the fly. I've also got like linen pants here. So I've got not just shorts, but like summer pants, more like summer pants, summer sweatpants, more t-shirts, got like teeny tiny little tank tops, another teeny tiny top, another teeny tiny top. So just a lot of tanks that I'm hoping with the new storage system is a little easier to like sort through because while the baskets are helpful, it's still hard for me to see what's on the bottom of them and not just like grab the stuff over and over again on the top. I don't know. I'm just hoping that I can create a little bit more distinction in the different categories of my wardrobe. See, honestly, these are all tiny tops, tiny tops, tiny tops. I've got this a t-shirt. This is a William Morris print t-shirt.
More t-shirts, more t-shirts, more t-shirts.
Swimwear, on to swimwear. Oh, these sweatpants have gotta go. Those are old. Okay, so a lot of tiny t-shirts and shorts. That's most of what this is here. Okay, so my dilemma is trying to figure out what goes within these baskets and what goes on top of them and what goes up on this side of the closet. Because this swimwear I don't really need a lot of access to, so that can go up on the top on the other side. I don't really use this like basket with all of these like pleated things and my special knits a lot. I don't reach for it like that much, so that can go up on this other side as well, out of the way. This has a lot of t-shirts in it, so that I will use a lot, so I'll leave that in here. So I'm thinking shorts and pants, or pants and shorts. So let's see how that looks. So honestly, I've really only got like 3 or 4 pairs of shorts here. So that doesn't really warrant its own whole section. I do, however, have a lot of these like jean pants. Oh, these are actually wool pants, so these get cut from the summer closet because there's no way I'm wearing wool pants in the summer. More pants. I'm missing a few pairs because they're in the wash. My Levi's are not here, so I think that's a good place to start. See, I'm probably also going to revisit this organizational system once I like use the closet for the summer, because I will very quickly see if a system is functional or not once I start to use it. That over here. I've also got like soft pants. Like they're not sweatpants, but they're not sweatpants, you know what I mean? But they definitely don't belong stored with my regular pants. So maybe I'll just like put them up here. I don't know. I do have these baskets left, so I've got enough room to essentially put this basket right here. Oh, this shouldn't be in here. I've got sweaters trying to sneak their way into my summer closet. I need to find the best way to organize those different categories of things within this extra space that I've got. So I'm going to try messing around a little bit with it. So technically you are supposed to fold everything that's a knit. That includes these t-shirts, any long sleeves. I vacillate back and forth though between hanging up t-shirts and folding them. In the end, I usually always end up folding them. Sometimes it's harder to tell what you've got if you've just got like stacks and stacks of folded t-shirts in a basket versus hanging them up. Where I usually always go for organizing things in the way that will maximize their longevity, but also it's your wardrobe. You can realistically do whatever you want. You can treat things however you want to. So if like your knits get a little stretched in the shoulder, but you don't really care about that, then I'd say keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to know technically the correct way to store those things would be folded. And I would just go also for folding anything that is just like super fragile or anything that you're worried about the state that it's in, because when you hang something, its own gravity is going to be pulling it down constantly. And that's something called inherent vice. And that's where like the garment that you own is trying to kill itself. That's a process that is like constantly occurring with textiles because they're getting like your skin oils on them, which break down fibers, and then you're running them through a washer machine, which is a very aggressive process for a textile to go through. So your clothes just get beat up on a regular basis, but then on top of that, sometimes like if you have a garment with buttons on it, those buttons, you know, they could get hooked on things. It could tear itself apart if it's that fragile. So you have to constantly save textiles from themselves. And so that's why I usually always go towards folding things if that's the preferred method of storage, just because I like things to last as long as they possibly can. So obviously my knits take up a lot more space than my spring summer wardrobe does. I can fit, for the most part, everything from my spring summer wardrobe into this bin. For my winter wardrobe, I can only fit like a certain amount of chunky knits in here before it's too much. And so I do have a drawer in my dresser that I dedicate to storing off-season knits as well. This is also a really great time to take stock of the things that you're storing away for the season. So think about this, you're putting your clothes away for the next, what, 6-7 months, and you won't see them again. So you want to make sure that the things that you pull out in the winter 6 months from now, that they look and feel and are in the same condition as the way that you stored them originally. So a good thing to ask is, when was the last time you washed that thing? You really don't want to be storing things that haven't been cleaned recently, because there's always the off chance that like you got something stained, or you got some of your sweat on it, and stuff like that when left on a garment and in storage over time can create oxidization, which is yellowing in your clothing, and it can also just create areas of weakness where it just makes it more likely that those spots are going to tear in the future. And also, you don't want to be having stains, like maybe food stains on your clothes, going into storage, because those can attract pests as well. So it's a good time to take a once over of your clothing. When's the last time I washed it? Does it have any obvious staining on it? And also, does it need any repairs? Are there any holes in these sweaters, or like gloves or hats, anything that needs to be repaired? It's a good time to put that in your mend it pile, because then you have 6 months to get to it, and it will be good to go for the next season. So here we are, it's the next morning. I've been sort of messing around with my organizational system in here since I stopped filming yesterday, and I thought I'd just give you a little update on what I've done. So I moved the pants over here to this section, because the pants I use way more frequently day in and day out, so those I have easy access to. I've put in here like tops that I use for layering, like tank tops, t-shirts, and long sleeves, but strictly for layering, things that are meant to go underneath things. I've still got my t-shirts in this basket here, but I've included some long sleeve shirts in here because I didn't have enough space to put those separately. And then I've still got, this is like my basket with my pleats and things. I've separated out over here like soft pants, leggings, things like that. And then right next to it, I've got shorts. And then underneath here, I've got the bin with dressier tank tops, dressier summer tops. I just swapped these sections here for that. And then on this side, when I stopped yesterday, I left the top shelf here completely empty and sort of leaving it as room for growth. However, I guess it is still like technically winter or whatever. And so I've left a selection of lighter weight sweaters over here for that reason. I also put this basket on the floor here. I put like my little beach wraps and like overlayers and things like that in that basket. I don't know if that's what's going to stay in there, but that's what's in there right now. And I have to say, I'm super happy with these cubes. And I'm glad that I was able to split these things up into smaller subsections because of these cubes and baskets, because then I'm just able to visually see what I've got. I do like that it creates another layer of storage on the top as well. Right now I've got this basket up here. If I were to like put this section, this cube back up here, it would still give me like a few inches of storage. And for me, that's like a great place to put some shoes or bags or something. So I'm glad how this little project turned out, and I'm just happy to see my closet become more functional and usable. And I hope that I was able to impart some useful tips for you on how to properly store your clothing. So that's it for me, and I will see you in the next one. Great way to... Oh, you're gonna come in that way? No, you're not. You're gonna go around the other way.